You better watch yourself.
Lessons learned from the Cayuga tournament, tackle talk, and a whole lot more on this edition of Tackle Shop Live.
A sunny day, right there you took my breath away. A young and pretty, you was
what up, Mike Ayer? How you doing, Raymond? Good to see you, buddy.
You told me I'm your little buttercup.
Andy Garrett, how you doing,
came
pal?
over and you fell into my arms.
Hey, Mark.
Well, I know what I feel.
Where you been? I haven't seen you forever.
Your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down, knowing I am
yes,
low,
it is. Andy, yes, it is. St. Chris, how you doing, pal? I need you to call me so we can get your address. I need your address, St. Chris. Todd Lango, how you doing, man? Dave Richardson, how are you? There's Mike Barr. Mike was in today at the shop. Him and Walt stopped by. That was fun.
That was fun.
Don Spelladier, how you doing? Kevin Carpenter, what's up, buddy? Ed Rodnowski. Warren Guttrell, how are you, pal? Scott Lockoff, hey, that's been a while, buddy. What's going on? Yeah, Sammy. Nah, you just sent Crash, you sent me the address. We'll hook you right up. I was on vacation for 3 days, so I let things slip a little bit. Yes, Corbin is back. A cameo appearance by Corbin.
Surprise.
Corbin is back. How's everybody doing? Welcome to another edition of Tackle Shop Live. Good to see everybody stopping in. And yes, Corbin is back. He is here. Everybody's been asking about you for every week, Corbin. And you're finally here to stop in and say hi to everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Looks like your lawyer did a fine job. Got you out early on parole. That's kind of a sore subject, George. I mean, I've been working my butt off, hustling around,
But Corbin,
that's not what I heard.
Please tell us you were catching fish while you were gone.
I've been working, man. Yeah. Okay. I did go on vacation to Hatteras, North Carolina, and I might have caught a couple redfish and some flounder and have a good time. Yeah, I've been fishing a little bit. I'll be picking it up more here soon.
Yeah.
Back in the groove. Yep.
Jerry Otto, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Man, I tell you, I was on vacation.
Everybody's
for
on
a
vacation.
couple of days. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I went down to the beach. Yeah, I used to love the beach, man. I used to I used to dig it,
Here we go.
I would go down there and just have such a freaking great time. But I mean,
let's face it, Mike.
The sand
sucks.
Gets everywhere.
Yeah.
So you're always, you're trying to eat a snack, and it's sticking on the snack and you're chewing on sand.
You're not supposed to roll your Twinkies on the beach.
Dude, it doesn't matter. You just pull it out of a bag and instantaneously there's sand on it. It's unbelievable. And the salt, it just your glass, you got to clean your glasses off every 5 seconds. And it was a southeast wind, and it was blowing all the freaking salt off the water right onto my glasses. I swear to God, couldn't see anything, man.
This sounds like a movie I watched.
I had my sunglasses. I had to clean them off every 5.5 seconds.
Grumpy old man.
And I was going to stay down to Wednesday morning early and jump in the car early and drive right to work, but I couldn't take it no more, man. I was like, come out of the shower. I was all clean. I'm like, I'm out. My wife's like all pissed at me and everything. And I'm like, I am out. But, other than the food down there, I had some crabs. I cracked crabs one night. That was good.
Were they good?
Oh, the crabs were good.
I mean, because,
they're good.
When you've been weaned on Chester and Wye River crabs, it's kind of hard to go.
I know. Well, they're not like
somewhere else.
They're not as heavy as those crabs, but honestly, they're river crabs back here in the bay. or bay crabs, you know, in Assawana Bay, they catch them. That's what the guy told me. And they were nice and heavy.
Yeah.
And
Were they hot, hard, and heavy?
hot, hard, and heavy? That's what we like.
That's how we like them.
That's the way we like them. So that was pretty awesome. So anyway, you know, I go to the beach for the wife, and it's just difficult. It's really difficult. But I do it. I do it with a smile on my face. But I tell you, Tuesday night, man, I was like, honey, I love you, but I gotta get the hell out of Dodge. I gotta come home.
Here you go.
So yeah, he was gone. And another really neat thing I want to talk about is we have a long time rep that was, you know, a rep for me and George and I for I don't know how long.
30 years.
30 years. And he since retired maybe 2 years ago. And he stopped in the shop the other day. And yeah, Ocean City, Mark, that's where I was at, Ocean City, Maryland. Oh, let me finish that story.
Well,
I'm all over the place.
Did you take your medication today,
I'm all over
bro?
the place. Hang on.
I mean, the question is, did you see George running the 20-foot skeeter out through the inlet for the White Marlin Open?
That's what
he was trolling. He's like, "Wah!"
yeah. Well,
Wah!
yeah, he was.
Wah! I mean, the only person I know that ever took a glass boat out there and tried to catch a tuna was Dave Schindler.
Dave Schindler.
So I figured that if George was going to do one better, knowing that you were sitting on the beach in misery, he was going to try to win the White Marlin Open out of the skeeter.
That would be awesome.
Negative.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, well, I mean, Monday afternoon we were sitting on the beach and it was maybe 4 o'clock, 4:30, and all of a sudden you hear this rumbling, this rumbling started coming in. I look up and over to my right where the inlet was, maybe 2 miles down the beach, and I look up out on the horizon, and all you see is boats just coming out of nowhere. And it's just appearing, and here they were all coming back in from the first day of the White Marlin Open, and I mean you can hear them, and you're looking at all these boats, and you see this one in particular boat that is so much bigger than everything else, just cruising along, and it was the Catch 23 from Michael Jordan, and this thing is
was he driving it?
He might have been. I was 2 miles away. I couldn't quite get the gist on him.
He was in between
But
wiping the sand out of his glasses.
But the story is that he bought a brand new boat, and it was an 80-foot Viking. And like George and I, when we go down to these marinas, we see these big giant ones, and they're like 60. And this thing was 20 foot bigger, and it was like more like a yacht. And this thing is hauling ass coming in, and so yeah, Jordan had the rig down there, man. Everybody was going over to see it, and we tried to go to the weigh-in, but it was so packed we couldn't even get close. But I went up to the hotel room, and then I took a shower to get all the freaking salt and sand off of me. And I come back out, and I go out to the deck, and we were on the 10th floor of this hotel right on the beach. It was pretty cool. And I look out over this way again, and they're still coming. This is an hour later, and they're still coming in. There was 434 boats in that tournament.
Yeah.
What an awesome deal. And I wish I could have got over to the marina more and checked out the boats. But anyway, to get back on this other story, because I am bouncing around a little bit. So our buddy, rep guy comes in, and he comes in, he starts bringing all his stuff in, and he's like, "Hey, I want you guys to have some stuff from my 40 years of doing this repping." He said, I brought some stuff. I thought maybe you guys might want to show it, put it up on your wall, do whatever with it. And he started to bring this stuff in, and a couple of things that were pretty cool was this is some of his sample packs that he would take when he would go jump from store to store to show his products. And he was a cream worm rep back in those days. This was his rep, the board that he would take in the color chart, basically. And I just thought that to be really cool. This is the cream worm. This is when cream was super hot. This is when it was like the #1 selling worm back in those days. This was what do you say, George? Early 70s?
Yeah,
early 70s.
He's probably watching. Tom, if I just want you to know, I'm going to try to catch a bass on every one of those worms.
Yeah. And he brought that in. And I'm going to hang it up somewhere. I'm going to put it somewhere. I don't know where, but I just think that is so cool. That's his board that he would take around, and they're all plastic. They're all still nice and soft inside there. So he has them wrapped up nice. And then the other thing that I really found to be really cool was this is a Fenwick HMG graphite rod. This is the first graphite casting rod. HMG casting rod, first series ever that they came out with. It's the Fenwick. You can see the handle. You see how they have it, the old set down style handle. This is from the late 60s, early 70s. And metal reel seat, cork handle, little foam forward grip. But look how good a shape it is. I mean, he never used it. He just had it at his house. And then this is an Abu Garcia 5000C, one of the original Abu 5000Cs. It's got a plastic insert on the spool for casting, for better spool speed and stuff like that. They made them real light. So they were, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
how they did that. So I found that to be really cool. This is a 5 power.
That's the rod we should fish those worms on. 1/2 to 1 ounce lures, 8 to 20 pound line.
What's funny, Mike, is the 5.5. Like you can't even. It's tough to find a bait.
Well, this has a shaft.
Right.
This has a shaft of 1 3/4 ounce, whatever the hell that means.
Oh, well, back in those days, that was the standard length of rods.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody.
5.5. And a casting rod.
Longer than a 6-foot rod was blasphemy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and then he brought this tackle box, and this is a Plano molding.
That's their first plastic tackle box.
That's the first plastic tackle box they came out with back in the day. And then what was really cool was he brought it to us loaded with old lures. These were all lures he sold back in the day. You have these river runts. Everybody knows about the old river runts. Look at that. Cool old, where you at there? Cool river runt there. Look at this thing.
Pull out the first swim bait.
Oh yeah. And then right here. Here's now this is really cool. I don't know who makes it, but
I think it's a bullshed.
Yeah, this is a little swim bait. Has a little waggy tail, and it's a soft plastic tail on that. And it's got a little lip on the front here for diving down and running. I don't know who makes that, but he did tell us who made that.
Looks like a rebel.
I don't know if he's going to jump on here or not.
It's pretty cool.
But old spoons and MEP spinners, old MEP spinners, old creek chubs, jointed creek chubs. And here's a really cool rattle trap, a lipless bait here. That's from Water Gator.
I don't know that one.
Oh, here. Smithwick.
Oh, wow.
Smithwick Water Gator.
Wow.
But down inside here, there's another box here with all kinds of spoons and spinners and whopper plopper looking things. See, everybody thinks the whopper plopper was an original lure. Well, all they did was copy some of these old flopper baits that have been out there.
Awesome.
So I wanted to show that because, this is Tackle Shop Live, and this is Tackle Shop stuff that a rep, that did that for years. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Greg Plank, I knew you would like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom was
a hell of a guy.
A rep in the tackle industry for probably 40 years.
Yeah. He said 40 years.
And he called on our establishment for 30 of the 40. So we became, good friends, and he navigated us through many different product lines over the years.
Yeah.
Some of which we've been involved with for 30 years, some of which, come and go.
Yeah.
But he always was the consummate professional, and
he was
really
always
helped his dealers succeed.
Yeah. It's
So
really cool.
kind of cool, and he took some time out of his day with his wife to stop by and bring that in for us. Yeah, and a lot of people have had a lot of people have enjoyed looking at it over the last few weeks.
Yeah,
we've been getting that out and showing it to people.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Keith Howard's heading down south. You're going the wrong way, Keith Howard. You need to be going to Cayuga, which we're going to be talking about here in a couple minutes.
He's probably going to Floribama if I know him.
He needs to turn around and run up there to that freaking Smash Fest up there.
Yeah. North is where it's at.
Yeah.
North is where it is at.
Renee Lynn Moore. The peanut butter pies are coming. Thank you so much. Yep. We appreciate that. Kenny Clemmer, how are you, buddy? So Mark Pappy, how are you? Russell Fuller, what's up, brother? So yeah, Corbin's in the house. I don't even know where we're going to go from here. We were just so messed up.
Oh, I know where we're going from here.
When
right to the top, baby.
Yep. Yeah. When he showed up, it was like, oh my God, Corbin's here. So that's nice to have Corbin back. On that. So, but tonight's show is a little bit different. We're going to be, we didn't really have a topic because, of the time of year it was and what we talked about the last two shows. So we just thought we would break down and see some of the lessons learned from Cayuga for the summertime fishing and what they were doing up there and things.
Oh, it was a clinic.
Yeah, and things we can learn from that. And honestly, George and I watch a lot of that stuff on the TV, while it's going. And, we're constantly working and looking up there, and you're just kind of picking up little things here and there. And we thought it'd be interesting to go over that tonight. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I don't have any other stuff, new, anything, announcements. Nick, do you have anything? Well, yeah, Nick's, cameraman Nick's here. So, what do you got, Nick?
I just know that there's a lot of good stuff sitting in front of George.
Oh, absolutely.
Looks cool to me.
Absolutely. So let's get this show on the road here, Nick. What do you think?
Sounds good.
We're going to go into what we call tackle talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So every week we discuss some of the new hot products that are coming out, and this week is no different. What do you got, George? What's hot? What's coming off the press?
Well, some stuff is hot.
It's hot.
Real hot.
Smoking hot.
Other stuff is just some new stuff, and other stuff is hard to get stuff. And with on the hard to get front, we got a little shipment of some Shimano X Prides in.
Sweet.
Which, are very, very difficult to come by.
Corbin, you're a big X Pride nutcase.
Of course, man. If it's got Shimano, I got a tattoo. Do you know what I mean? Like,
tramp stamp.
Yeah. Shimano lives all day, every day.
Yeah. We also, this Cayuga tournament really highlighted a little bait that we kind of teased a little last week, and that's the Baby Z2. Now, the Baby Z2 is by no means a new bait, but these are some new colors.
Yeah.
There was a fourth color, but it's kind of sold out. However, there's another couple hundred packs on the way.
Yeah.
So the Baby Z2 is primarily a drop shot bait that Strike King sells. It's actually made for Strike King by Z-Man. And what the deal is with that is you've got that minnow profile, which can represent any sort of shad or
that's the thing about it. It's got that fatter body that's different than a lot of drop shot baits.
Any kind of perch, shad, that kind of profile, and it's
look at that siren color, man.
It's absolutely a deadly drop shot bait. As a matter of fact,
dude, that thing catches smallies.
The guy that won the tournament today was throwing it a little bit.
Yeah, he was. He caught the 7 freaking giant on it.
No. Nope. That's not what happened at all. The guy that won the tournament today was throwing it a little bit. The guy that caught the 710 caught it on these.
Yeah.
But it's a great drop shot bait anywhere in the country. Yeah.
was
So that's
excited.
that.
I got a little excited there.
There's a couple different ways you can rig it. You can nose rig it.
It's not scented.
You can also
Chris, it's not scented.
take a straight Nico hook and thread it on. So
Yeah,
it's coming out the back.
that's what a lot of guys do is they thread a Nico hook on there and bring it out the top just like you would like a jig head, but without the weight, and drop shot that way. I've been drop shotting it for a couple years now, and I just have great success with it. It's perfect representation right now this time of year for where we're at with the size of the shad, and put that sucker on a drop shot, fish it around.
A question that we got during pre-tackle shop live with that, it is not scented, right?
No,
I don't know for sure.
Is that type of plastic okay to be used with the
Bait fuel.
bait fuel?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. There you go, people.
yeah.
Well-
Put the bait fuel on it, man. Load it up with bait fuel.
Well, and George, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't this have a little bit more of a buoyancy factor?
Oh, yeah,
Because Z-Man makes it in the
Yeah, it's made out of
Plastic.
the TPE plastic, so it floats like a freaking bobber.
Yeah,
You know, that's why it's so good on a drop shot.
Yeah.
You know, and like I was saying, you can nose hook it, and that works great. Or, you know, a lot of the pros, we saw it a couple years ago up at St. Clair, where they were just absolutely destroying fish on the baby Z2 and the full size Z2.
yeah.
You can thread a straight shank, you know, take a Nico hook or a straight shank worm hook, light wire,
Yeah.
and literally thread this thing on it like you were putting a bait on a jig head. So the hook is just coming exposed out of the back. And there's a lot of people that feel that gives you a better hookup because that hook's farther back in that bait.
I agree with that. I don't,
So
fish,
I
I don't
mean,
fish it
it's-
that way, but I can see with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's you know different approaches to that, but it is a deadly bait. We watched on this most recent tournament. I mean, it's every tournament, but just this most recent tournament, we just watch people just destroy fish on this bait. So,
Smallies
and
love
the
it.
other nice thing about it is, you know, if you are up north for a few days and you are catching just nonstop fish, you know, you can get a ton of fish out of one bait.
Yeah.
So you're not like going through, you know, running out of baits.
Yeah.
You know, every time you go up north and you get on a good bite for a few days, you run whatever you're catching them on, you seem to run out of.
Yeah.
This thing here is pretty indestructible. So,
Chris, you're exactly right. That's a great walleye bait. You could throw out on a jig head, bounce it on the bottom. Fantastic walleye bait. It's just a fantastic profile. And it's one that is different than what a lot of them that are out there. We saw years ago up on the Thousand Islands, they were using the Z2, the regular size Z2, drop shotting that up on the Thousand Islands. Kevin Van Dam was one of them throwing it. A couple of the guys were throwing it back then, and they were whacking smallies on that too. I'm going to try it too on my donkey rig this fall. Well, coming up like next time we go out, actually, I'm going to put the front one on with that floating Z2. See what maybe it gets all wacky out there. You know, might get crazy on you, Nick.
little scrounger head, it's good on.
Might
too.
go crazy.
well, you can also
Like
go
it.
over to Z-Man, and they market this bait in their lineup.
They don't have a small one though.
No, I was just going to say that as a
Oh,
matter of fact.
Oh, I jumped in there and cut you off. Sorry.
They have
about
a full size, what would be like the Z2, and it's scented. They have it scented, and you know you can fish it. It's actually got a little salt content in it to give it some weight.
Yeah.
And you can fish it like a super fluke, or you can drop shot it. You can jig head it.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of options. But what we're highlighting tonight is the baby Z2.
New colors.
We're highlighting the new colors. We have Siren.
Yep.
You know, for obvious reasons. Made famous by
Mark Zona.
Mark Zona out in the middle of Lake Ontario
Yeah.
with the drop shot half shell
Yeah.
in Siren. We have Morning Dawn,
Famous grass color.
made
Clear
famous
water.
by Aaron Martins,
Mhm.
catching every fish that ever swam on a robo worm in Morning Dawn.
Northeast Iowa's in the house.
We have
How you doing, Keith?
green pumpkin.
Oh, what a great color.
I mean, that I wish Skeeter offered boats painted green pumpkin. I'd have my boat made in green pumpkin. You know, I mean, that's just, I mean, how do you get any better than that?
And the one we're missing is
dill pickle,
which
is green pumpkin with a chartreuse belly.
Yeah.
And that will be back in stock. Also,
something's going on with that because today, just today, we sold every single pack we had to stock out today. So,
also the pearl white.
Yeah.
Is a really hot color. And then they have the Arkansas Shiner, which is, and then they have the deal.
Yeah.
The deal's probably the best selling color of all time in that lineup.
What do you got, Nick?
Supposedly the pickle.
Yeah.
That is what's going on up at Oneida.
Yeah.
So that's,
I tell you right now, somebody's doing something. These guys were ordering 20, 25 packs of the crack. It was crazy. They're gone. Matter of fact, Caitlin had to steal one off my desk. The only pack I had, I grabbed a couple packs of each of those and put them on my desk. And Caitlin grabbed them to fill orders. That was pretty ignorant of her. Caitlin, I know you're listening. Very, very, very ignorant of you.
Yeah.
Taking my tackle.
That's the baby Z2 new colors. Also check out the Z2. Also check out the Z-Man scented jerk shad.
Very cool.
The Z-Man scented jerk shad. The colors, of course, Z-Man colors. I mean, Z-Man makes these for striking.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get any better than that.
Eli's Tech.
So the next bait that we
You know what they
kind
say
of
on it?
teased you with last week
Look at Caitlin.
was the new Zeus worm, which is Strike King's new 9.5 inch, you know, the big worm. It's big worm season, you know, around the country right now, peak of it. That's why they rushed these to the market first. This is their 9.5 inch Zeus worm. What's interesting about this worm is it's a smaller diameter.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to your Zoom Old Monster, you know, your 10-inch power worm, yada, yada, yada. All those worms are big, bulky, traditional worms. This is a small profile. It's called the Zeus worm.
You know, I figured out why they call it the Zeus worm. Because it's crazy worm. It has more than one segment.
Cool.
George, you know what that worm reminds me of a little bit? Kind of like a Mag 2.
Yeah.
You know, like the tail's thicker, thinner,
longer
thinner
ribbon
body.
tail.
Yeah.
Yep.
And full disclosure, you guys know I'm a huge Mag 2 fan.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that's my
That's
shit.
that's your jam.
Yeah.
So one interesting piece of information here is the pickle worm that everybody's calling a pickle worm is labeled the juice, the color.
Unless you go to our website.
No, it's labeled when you get them. No, I'm saying that, you know, you're going to open your package up and you're going to say, man, I ordered the juice and I got this, or I ordered the pickle and I got the juice. I don't get it.
What do you mean?
So it's labeled wrong.
Well,
No, it is. It's totally labeled wrong. In a catalog, it's called the pickle or something, sour pickle or whatever it is, sour pickle. And on the packages, it says the juice.
I could promise you this much. It's the only green pumpkin chartreuse baby Z2 there is.
Yeah, I could throw some confusion out there for our listeners.
so when all else fails, just call it green pumpkin baby chartreuse belly.
Yeah.
Juice, yo.
It's funny because we've been throwing that Hasdong shad with that same color for years.
Whoa, cover the mic.
For years.
Is that what
That's
you
it.
Is that what you take Brian Setlock's money on in Conowingo?
Well, I mean, you know,
Well, there you go.
you still gotta know how to fish it. Everybody gets all worked up.
Another killer drop shot bait.
Oh shoot.
The
Well,
Megabass.
That's because I care about our listeners. I
3
care
inch
everybody,
has dong shad
all the people listening.
in green pumpkin chartreuse.
Just remember, I'm the one that gave it up.
AKA dill pickle, AKA the juice.
The juice.
All right, Mike, what's next on our list?
Did you go over everything?
I got a few more things here if you want to talk about them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, it's just tackle talk, man. We
No,
got
I didn't know if I was running out of time.
hurry
Oh,
up.
no, George.
Get on it. Let's go. Roll it.
Well, you know, I got some spinner baits here.
Huh.
I don't want to sound like I got a Strike King tramp stamp or anything because I don't. but I am talking about some Strike King.
Let's see.
Okay.
I don't believe you. Let's see.
Now,
Let me let's have a reveal.
I will say this. Back in the day, Strike King was a spinnerbait company. They were a spinnerbait company above all else. And as they evolved, they grew into this big, giant, mega conglomerate that is now owned by money people. And, it's kind of losing its identity a little bit, but they're still producing outstanding baits. Okay. So, if you don't like these big mega freaking companies, Strike King they still have their good bait designers. They're still making a fine product. And they're still making these really cutting edge techniques, because at the end of the day, no matter where the money comes from and no matter how big they are, they got one hell of a pro staff that does design the baits. Yeah. Over the years, we've had many, many meetings with them, and, they emphasize that. And it's true. And I think, they kind of decided to get back into the spinnerbait game. Not that they ever got out of it, but they wanted to make some noise.
That's what their company was based on years and years ago.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
So the tour grade spinnerbait is, a pretty good example of a pretty good spinnerbait. I know Corbin throws them.
Yeah. I mean, that George, and when you guys first got those in last year,
and we talked about them a little bit last year.
Yeah. The golden shiner, the colors, the detail,
and you've been throwing them,
the durability, the tuning.
Well, they're tied, Nick.
Yeah.
The skirts are hand tied with wire. Okay. Yeah. Now that is a custom touch that you don't expect on a mass produced spinnerbait.
They thump pretty good, Corbin.
It's a pro driven bait. Okay. So it's hand tied. To Corbin's point, the colors, that's a beautiful golden shiner.
The thump pretty good, good vibration.
Yeah,
the beautiful gold blades.
The wires, right? As George,
they're gold.
Yeah, they're gold. They're good quality bait.
The wire it's the right diameter wire for vibration.
Yep.
It's got a good hook in it.
Yep.
Sticks,
durable.
So this is a 1/2 ounce tour grade spinnerbait. Okay. This was the original spinnerbait that we talked to you guys about last year. And the only reason I'm bringing up this one is because of this one. Yep. This one's also a 1/2 ounce. The pink one, Morning Dawn. That's also a 1/2 ounce. Okay. But it's a compact series. So I want you to notice the blades. So, the 1/2 ounce standard is running a 4 and a 4.5. The compact is running a 3.5 and a 4. And the interesting thing about the compact,
kind of looks like something that we're used to throwing.
Look at the head size. Okay. So the compact is a hidden weight bait. You got a ton of weight under the skirt with that conical keeper.
I was going to say, these also have really good keepers on them.
The keepers do hold.
Yep.
Okay. So the compact is another addition.
It's a lot like the people are throwing them like a War Eagle, Screaming Eagle, kind of what they were kind of going after. That kind of size.
Now, the other one that they did.
Oh, I love me this one.
Okay.
It's funny that they put a copper blade on one of them. That's pretty cool.
This is a 5/16. It's
a finesse spinnerbait.
Spinnerbait.
Yep.
I'm surprised they didn't do it in a 3/16.
And that's a turtleback. Okay. And, getting back to the pro part of it, the colors. Okay. So, yes, it's a mass-produced bait by a mass-produced company, but you don't see these kind of colors on mass-produced baits.
What do they call that one, George?
This is called Raging Bluegill.
Raging Bluegill.
Well, not really. I made that up.
It almost looks like Missouri crawl and the Eakins jig, but yeah.
I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's crawfish. But what's interesting about this color is it's got the copper blade. And copper blades are very interesting because they're really good in really clear water, and they're really good in like tannic colored waters. So, the copper
Mike
blade
Barr.
is legit, right?
Yeah, Mike Barr. That's for you when you go down to your cypress trees. What's that place he goes to down in Delaware? That river.
The Nanticoke.
Down in Maryland, the Pocomoke.
Pocomoke.
Yeah.
He's a Pocomoke guy. It's
So,
perfect for the Pocomoke.
The last thing I got for you is, and there's not a lot left. I apologize for this. You're going to probably want to call in. The new respect color from Megabass.
I can't believe we have any left.
There's not a lot left.
But there's
some left.
This thing's just cool.
We got a lot
Yeah.
of them. So this is their new color. It's called the Black Viper.
I wanted to do that too.
Black Viper. We got them in the 110, the Pop Max, the 110 Junior.
They got like the snakeskin back on the back of that, George. See
Yeah,
that?
they do.
Yeah, they do.
A little
Yeah,
bit,
they
of,
do.
a
Crackling.
little bit of a purple hue, silver
Little
sides.
crackle paint.
Little crackle paint on there.
And then also we still have left some of the and this is not a Respect Series color. This is a Japan color. It's called GLX Spawn Cherry. And what's interesting about this, they offer this in the US in the 110 Junior +1, but this is also the 110 and the 110 +1. So kind of interesting. Great color. Not really readily available here. Once in a blue moon. We got a few of those left. So if you want any of this good stuff, we have a couple odds and ends in the Respect colors for the last couple months. Like, couple pieces here, a couple pieces there. If you want any of those guys, give us a call, and we'll be glad to take care of you tomorrow.
Matthew Weimer, are you getting any Megabass SV3 spinnerbaits? I don't know. George is working on all kinds of stuff right now. Probably something on his radar. Maybe
All
not.
right, Mike, that's all I got for you on Tackle Talk this week.
Got everything covered there. Great. Just everybody, while you're sitting here watching, make sure you share this show with your friends and everybody. Like and share everything on St. Crest. You can like and share everything on YouTube. Bunch of guys on Facebook can like and share. That would go a long way for us. We appreciate it. St. Crest, make sure you call me and so I can get your address. Just everybody. And
not only that, make sure you're doing that on all our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok. It goes so far when you throw a comment in there. Share, like, we do this for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Let's move on. We're going to talk about Cayuga. Yeah. Man, we've been watching some slugfest up in Cayuga Lake, and there was a lot of takeaways from this tournament, lessons learned, and we want to get into some of this stuff, how they were catching them, that we can kind of look at it and say, okay, well, I have a lake that's similar like this, or I know a place that that's similar,
Yeah.
And there's a lot you can learn from watching this stuff, all day long. And we thought we would kind of break it down in our fashion, which will spark into a lot of conversation about technique. And, it'll just go all over the place.
So before we get into the technique and all that stuff, I got a question for you guys. There's so much debate out there between 5 fish being weighed in, all these fish. But realistically, did anybody ever think that 90 to 100 and some pounds, whether you're weighing in 5 fish or whatever,
Yeah.
it was even doable like that?
Well,
What was day one? 140
27.
something.
That is
Yeah, I think
impressive.
it was 127.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Well, I think
100 pounds and
160 is the 1-day record in Bass Pro Tour. That was set on Lake St. Clair by Michael Neal.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
thought it was.
he had a one-
I
he had a
thought it was
one-day-
Jacob Wheeler on 1 day total on Thousand Islands.
Now, Michael Neal, 1 day total, Lake St. Clair, like 160-ish.
God,
The only
That was
reason
a couple years ago.
The only reason why I brought this up is because so many of us, me included, are so used to the 5 fish weigh-in, and we talk about both ways. I just don't know if I've ever went out on any day in any body of water and caught that kind of weight. I mean, that's ridiculous.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna start.
Well,
weighing
if you
all
go
my
out
fish.
and you have 100 fish day and they average 2 pounds, you caught 200 pounds.
very
Yeah.
true.
Well, it would be interesting to weigh all your fish someday, just to see how where you're at. You know,
Well, part of this is
and
the
you're fishing.
amount of time it takes them to land the fish.
yeah,
Then the amount of time that it takes them to weigh the fish.
that's pretty quick though. I
So,
mean,
I
the
mean,
guys,
you know,
there's a guy there ready to weigh.
It's not
it.
like when we just go out fun fishing and we're just like, oh man, I got one, get them in the boat, and you got a hot school fired up and you can jump right back in there. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you might be able to catch 200 pounds in a day. But if you had to stop and weigh them all and
So that
you know,
guy,
take your 2-minute penalties for the inadvertent dropsies,
so that guy that weighed 127 or 147.
that was Justin Lucas on day one.
I wonder what his fish count was. I forget what his fish count was.
It wasn't that high.
If anybody has that would be really
His
interesting.
average was almost 4 pounds.
That's what Dustin Cannell's was almost today.
His day one, his average was almost 4 pounds. So the fish count's not as big as you think.
Wow. Wow.
The thing about Cayuga Lake that this tournament showed us is a couple things. First of all, this is the first tour level tournament on Cayuga Lake with forward looking sonar, which opened up the abyss. So if you watch this tournament, 98% of the top performing guys fished offshore. They fished from 10 to 12 feet of water out to where it breaks off into, 400 feet of water, or, whatever the channel is. Like, that lake's 400 feet deep in places.
Yeah.
So that flat goes out, and then ends. And if you watch, like, for example, if you watch Michael Neal on day 1 or 2, he's like, I'm on the last edge. And he's out in the middle of the damn lake. I mean, let's face it. He said, I'm out on the last edge, and I have pods of fish, schools of fish that are just cruising along. And all I'm doing is just trolling along and scanning with my Panoptics. And then when I see them, drop shotting a variety of plastics. He shined his light on some of the new big bite baits, scent, whatever they're calling, Sensation or Scent Molly, or I don't know what the hell they're calling the damn thing. Beautiful stuff. We saw it at ICAST. It's beautiful, quality, scented. This whole trend towards this triggering scents.
Yeah.
And he would go through a variety of those baits.
I think you want to be careful though. Oh, see, Wheeler had 47 fish, 165 pound one.
Well,
ounce.
Justin Lucas, the first day, had 127 pounds and 35.
Wait,
fish.
George, you've got to be careful. 127. How many fish?
35.
35 fish. Wow, that's incredible. So
big average.
the guys who get the 100-pound belt in bass fish 4 days.
But they can only weigh 5 fish.
Okay,
That's a 3.62.
that's 20
average.
fish.
So Justin Lucas's
20
day
fish.
1 best 5 was 25.7 for his best 5 on day 1.
Yeah,
25.7.
that's awesome.
That's pretty good.
That's freaking
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And he was out in the middle of the damn lake.
So what you got to be careful of with that statement is just because, for the forward facing, that's exactly what they were doing. But also Wheeler was fishing in a group of guys on his first 2 days, and they were all respectful, and they were fishing in an area. So if you don't have forward facing, and say you're going along and you're moving around and you all of a sudden stumble on some fish, you can just kind of, if you can fish that area. You can fish around that area. You can make
Absolutely.
circles. You can make circles. What a lot of guys,
That's how we used to do it.
what a lot of guys do is, but what a lot of guys do in that situation is they kind of park on a spot. They keep making those
The spot lock.
and they fan cast, and then they wait and they wait and they wait, and all of a sudden some fish come through again, and then they catch a couple, and then they wait and wait and wait, and the fish come through again, and they catch a couple, and it just sucks them into that spot. Whereas these guys are just moving. They're just they're never sitting still. They're constantly on this move, and that's one thing I really noticed is how much they actually move.
Well, the reason they're moving is the fish they're fishing for are moving.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, they all said in the morning when they would return to their best areas, usually they had to find the fish.
Yeah.
Because, the fish aren't anchored down.
Right.
They're on bait.
Right. But they were
Bait
fishing.
moves.
But my point is, if you started here and you didn't catch any fish like where I'm fishing right now, you just put the trolling motor down and start going around in big circles and just keep moving around that area. And you can stumble across them again, and you will stumble across them again because they're just big schools of fish just moving around. And apparently these schools of fish are giant. They're giant.
Well,
they vary.
They vary. Some of the schools were just small little pods. Other ones were great big schools. The thing about it is, okay, let's say to Mike's point that you don't have panoptics.
Probably 90% of the people in this world.
And you want to go to Cayuga and fish like these guys because no one has ever done this before. Okay, so you want to go out in the middle of the lake on a big giant grass flat and just fish. And you're limited to looking to the side and down, which is not a problem. The old school way of doing it, we'll go back to 2D only. No side imaging. Was we would go out there, we would catch a fish, we would kick a buoy, and then when that bite died there, we would start fishing in circles around that buoy. And if we kept catching fish, the circle kept growing. Round and round and round. This is the same exact thing, only now you don't cast until you're looking at fish.
Yeah.
So you just troll around in your circle and fan your trolling motor and shine your panoptics, and there's 5 fish. 45 feet out, 1 o'clock. Throw your drop shot out there. Maybe they eat it. Maybe they don't. Throw your crankbait out there. Maybe they eat it. Maybe they don't. That's the only difference between having it and not having it. But the big difference is that without it, 90% of the field never went out there.
Yeah.
With it, 95% of the field is out there.
Yeah.
So, if you're fishing, Cayuga Lake, Champlain, any of that northern water where in post-spawn, summer pattern, they had fish. One guy had a fish on the second day of the tournament that when he landed, it was spewing eggs. So there's still a few fish spawning or just finishing up from the spawn. So post-spawn, summer pattern. This open water world is untapped resources that you can now effectively fish, which is what they did.
George, remember a couple years back, Pete Glusick won the Open up there without any electronics and a borrowed boat, just triangulating everything.
Oh, it wasn't a borrowed boat.
Or it was his original or his older one.
Yeah, well, Pete, back in the day, Pete was famous for his boat maintenance.
Yeah.
Like, don't stand on that lid because it's a little soft.
Yeah,
this is my 1971 first edition Garmin graph here.
Hey,
but don't look at it because it doesn't work.
Hey, George, you got any black electrical tape? I need a little strip.
But I want to talk about because it was just
love you, Pete.
He won a tournament, a big tournament doing that.
He won a Bass Open
to put him in the Classic.
Yeah.
Right?
So he was fishing the same thing these guys were fishing.
Right.
Drop offs with a heavily weighted Senko.
Yep.
Texas style.
Yep.
No drop shot, no crankbait. And he was catching big fish.
Big ones.
He was on a wad of fish.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of how we used to do it. But I'm pretty sure if you pull up on Pete today,
He got the forward.
he's
facing.
looking at the Panoptics and he's going, "Oh, I see you."
Yeah. Well, and George, you know what else I found interesting about this tournament here, which I'm sure you're probably going to get into, was it wasn't just a largemouth gig. You know, like some smallmouth played too, which, you know, everybody's known that Cayuga has had big smallmouth, but
dude.
like the forward facing sonar, unlocking it
Absolutely.
allowed some of them to be seen.
A lot of
you know?
smallmouth caught, and you see that freaking 7 banger 10-pound freaking giant.
7-10 pound.
Whoo!
That's a big one.
Look like it. Looked like a 10-pounder to me when
That's
he
a
swung
big
at the boat.
Well,
It
what's
was
interesting?
a 7-10. It was a 7-10 smallie
Here's what's interesting.
giant.
So, 80 up until today. Now, today skewed the numbers a little bit. There was only 10 anglers out today, but in all the other 5 days of competition, it broke down like this: 88% of the fish weighed were largemouth.
Wow,
Okay,
that's a lot more than higher than I thought it was.
and 3.5 to 5 pound largemouth are as common as fleas on a frickin' hound. Okay, so now
Let's go, baby.
there is not, like, Champlain does not have that kind of an average on their largemouth.
No.
Does not have that kind of an average on their largemouth. They have good largemouth, lots of them. It's 4 times that size, but it does not have that kind of average on its largemouth. No, very, very few lakes up north will average those weights on the largemouth. Now, the biggest fish of the show was a 7-10 smallie caught today.
That's crazy.
There was 2 or 3 over 6s up to 6'10" on largemouth, and many high 5s.
Yeah.
So, you know, before we get into all the techniques and, you know, what it allows us to learn from, let's just freaking say that Cayuga is the bomb. I mean, it is one hell of a lake.
Unbelievable.
I'm one hell of a lake. And these guys, you know, being the first tour level event with forward facing sonar, unlocked the potential of this place.
And George, you're right. And you know what was cool too, though? Now they couldn't really compete with the top 2, but Andy Montgomery and I think it was Zach Burge, they did do a really good job of the dock fishing, but they just could not compete with.
Well, Zach Burge got there on smallmouth.
Okay.
Zach Burge got to this final day on smallmouth. The last day that Zach Burge competed in a knockout round, he went up on a dock pattern. He caught a 6'10" largemouth. And then today he fished that dock pattern hot and heavy. But he got there fishing smallies. And he frickin' trucked them. Dustin Cannell said before the tournament even started, you know, I want to show the world the smallmouth population on Cayuga. And he knew that he had to stay out of that largemouth, you know, because it just ended up being 4 or 5 boats on every good area, and the fish just got pulverized. You know, that's the problem when you put 80 of them guys on the lake and, you know, they're catching 30, 40, 50 fish a day. 80 times 40, that's a lot. So, you know, he was kind of a really cool game plan focusing on those unpressured smallmouth. So my hat's off to him on that decision. But the cool thing was out in this big open water, what I found to be the coolest of the cool was the guys cranking. You know, Wheeler got there by cranking. He cranked every day he fished and primarily caught the majority of his fish cranking a Rapala DT16 in a bluegill color. Ott Defoe caught a ton of his fish cranking DT10, DT16, DT14. It was just a cranking deal. Timmy Horton was cranking a 20-foot big diver. I mean, these guys were cranking big plugs and catching big fish. It was a hell of a crankbait tournament. And that, you know, to me, for guys that are like us, you know, just weekend warriors, hardcore bass heads that are dying and striving to learn, I would say probably one of the weakest things that we all do. I know it's weak for me. Is cranking grass. I mean, it's just not like something that a lot of people are comfortable doing. What do you think about that, Mike?
I mean, it's tough to do because, when you're getting the right lip and then you get the wrong lip and you're hanging the grass all the time and you have to pop your rod. If you watch them, it's a lot of work. When you're fishing those flats with grass, the grass just doesn't grow like your lawn, all the same cut. It's not all 3.5 inches. It's, you know what I mean?
Well, George's is 1.25 because he mows regularly. But
I've seen George's at 9-10 inches.
Yeah, I set my mower at 4.
Yeah.
I've seen his at 9 or 10. It's pretty cool.
My mower is my lawn is a 1 cigar, 2 beer cut.
I just see that, so it's a lot. It's very tough. It's like fishing anything in the grass. It's a lot of work. A chatterbait in the grass. It's sometimes that grass gets up. It's a lot of work. So you got to just have that patience and you got to have that flexibility to go from crankbait to crankbait till you get one that you can just take the tops off of it on a lot of it. But that isolated grass clumps that those guys were fishing, they weren't fishing solid grass flat. They were fishing the outside edge, which is clumps. The problem with that is you have one clump that's 2 foot off the bottom and the next clump 6 foot off the bottom. And then you got 2 foot. So you just got to be patient. It's a lot of work. But as you can see, you can get confidence by watching this show, knowing that that's a big deal. Now, George and I know that Cayuga is known for crankbaits. It's a crankbait lake. All the guys up there that do well crankbait that lake. Used to be the Bill Norman series. You're still a Bill Norman. A lot of guys throw the Bill Normans up there.
We've done well cranking up there on grass.
Yeah, you can
except for the pikes.
Right.
You might want to take a couple extra baits with you.
That's the problem. Yeah, but they fish crankbaits on that lake. It sets up for it. It's a cranking lake.
And what's interesting, Mike, is I know from our days up there cranking, these guys were cranking all natural colors. They were cranking bluegills.
Yeah.
Because it had that perch look.
Yeah.
They were cranking.
Well, they had the other guy that was doing Strike King. He was doing really well. He was throwing that green
6XD and the green gizzard.
Green gizzard.
Kevin Van Dam.
Yeah.
Kevin Van Dam threw a green gizzard. He threw 5XD and 6XD. He threw green gizzard. He threw chartreuse perch.
Mm-hmm.
And everything he threw was because they were eating perch, bluegill, and some kind of alewife shad.
Atafa was throwing the crawdad, root beer crawl.
But he was quick to point out.
He said it was only he wasn't throwing it for the crawl pattern. He was throwing it for the perch pattern.
The orange belly. Yep. And so bars, natural colors, bars on the side, a little bit of orange. But what's interesting, if you watch these guys crank, they were using big rods.
They're big
for the leverage.
7.6s.
Yeah, they were not fishing with 7-foot rods.
No, 7.6s and bigger.
And 12-pound line.
Mm-hmm.
And they were cranking,
working their ass off,
and they were ripping. So
it's composite. Were they using glass or graphite?
That's a question, and I even thought about trying to address that again.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day. And we've talked about this a lot with that glass, graphite, composite, the new hybrid style.
Yeah.
I say what you get used to and what you build your system around is what's going to work for you. And if you watch this show, I mean, KVD was cranking with his trademark composite.
Yeah.
He was cranking with a GC6. That's what he was cranking with.
Yeah.
He was cranking 5XD on a GC5. Wheeler was cranking with one of them big boy Duckett white graphite rods. One of them big parabolics. With a real, but it's a parabolic graphite, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Ott was cranking with. I'm not sure what his rod sponsorship is.
Bass Pro rod.
Yeah, he uses them.
Graphite, probably.
I think he said it was a graphite crankbait rod.
I like the graphite. I know you like the graphite. I know you like the graphite.
Well, when I'm in
'cause-
grass,
in grass,
When-
because we
when
want
I'm in grass, I want to rip it clean. You
And,
know,
that's
we
kinda,
want that bait to pop.
and some of those guys were popping 3-4 times a cleaner bait. You know, but
And
I
some
saw
of them were fishing heavier line too.
I saw
and that's kind of where I
One
was
guy
going
was
with
fishing
this.
20.
That's where I was kind of going with this too, George. is
Timmy Horton.
We talk about rattle trapping in the spring on the Potomac. We talk about square billing, the heavier line, the 12 versus the 10 versus the 15. We never really talked about deep cranking grass, like specifically. That's why I was.
it's
Well, I think this tournament highlighted it for us, guys.
It did. It's the same damn
I mean-
thing as anything. You got to be able to clean your lure off, and you got to be able to get through that grass and fish it right. And the frustration level that gets on you is crazy.
A lot of people have this question, and I'm glad you guys are talking about this because I'm getting it all the time. They're buying these crankbaits, the 5XD, the 6XD.
Great crankbait.
How do I get it to the depth that it says on there?
Well, if that's the depth you want to get it to, fish 10-pound to 12-pound fluorocarbon. But these guys didn't want it to get to the depth that it says on the box.
Okay, so that's the stuff
They wanted it to get to the depth of the grass they were in. Henceforth, 14, 17. And the one guy said he was fishing 20 fluorocarbon. He was fishing a great big 3/4 ounce crankbait, 1 ounce crankbait on 20 fluorocarbon to keep it up.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, trial and error.
Yes.
Okay. How far can you cast?
That's what I was going to get to.
How deep does your bait go on that cast?
How long of a rod are you using? Are you long lining?
Really, when you're doing this, if we all get in the truck and drive up there tomorrow and go out on those flats to crank, you're going to want multiple crankbait rods laying out with multiple line tests on them so that you can quickly make adjustments and learn.
Yeah.
Hey, this bait is doing exactly what I want to do. This reel's got 17-pound line on it.
And George, this is very important, and this is a great question for this. What are the angles you guys are doing to do this? I'm sure you're not casting way back into the.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? What are the angles that you're using with your,
Well, this is like, I mean, we're out on these big giant. If you watch this tournament, they were out on massive flats out to the edge.
Yep.
The angle was where that bass is because they were looking. They were not. There was no random cast made.
Yeah.
No wasted cast.
Nobody casted to where there wasn't a fish. And if you watch Wheeler this morning, he marked a fish, he caught a fish, he ripped that thing out of the water, he took the hook out of it, he weighed it, he ran to the front deck, and he fired a cast in that same exact spot because those fish were juiced up. And he wanted to try to boom, boom, boom. Because, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 done.
Yeah.
That's a key part. When you catch one, forget about the photo session and the bullshit session,
the selfie, the TikTok.
Put the fish back in the water immediately
Or the
and
live
get
well.
your bait back to that spot because his buddies may be interested.
Yeah.
Fire school up.
George, Mike, question for you guys. Okay. As it pertains to the deep cranking and whatnot, a lot of people are going to say, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try this on my local lake or something like that. I'm going to get a 5XD, DT16. Doesn't matter what it is, relevant to your depth of water. How about hooks? To crank that grass effectively, do you want to swap them out? You want to have sharp hooks, don't you?
Depends on whose bait you buys.
Well, I'm saying you don't want to be reaching out and for instance, if I got a 5XD for 5 years ago that's got dull points and a little bit of rust on the hook, I don't want to go cranking grass with that because I'm going to catch every piece of milfoil and grass there is, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you want sharp hooks, right?
I mean,
absolutely.
I don't fish a crankbait without good hooks on it.
Mike, do you?
I'm just not even doing it.
Mike, do you?
No, I don't. I don't fish a dull hook either because George has got them all sharpened up nice.
No, but I mean, I just wanted to kind of touch on.
No, it's very important. It's very important to have super sharp hooks ready to go. Good clean hooks. I tell you, anything that will make you come through that grass better is the deal.
Triple
Yeah.
grips? Were they using triple grips?
That's kind of where, yeah. I mean, KVD probably had his short shank triple
Yeah.
grips, or like the.
I guarantee you he did.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys look back at some of our old shows when we talked about deep diving crankbaits and crankbaiting, we talk about hooks and upsize and going to a short shank hook and upsize, and all of these tournament anglers upsize their hooks. They all go, if it's a 4 that's on there, they go to a 2. If it's a 6 that's on there, they go to a 4, and they go to short shanks and they go to extra heavy duty hooks.
Because of the grass.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They want as much horsepower as they can to grappling those hooks so they don't throw the bait.
Yep.
And with cranking, you lose a lot of fish. You will lose a lot of fish during the day, and you can't be all upset about it. It just happens. It's the way that crankbaiting is. So they do whatever they can to eliminate that, or make it just not as big of a percentage. Take the percentages way down by whatever they can do. Sharp hooks, short shanks, oversize.
I think everybody has
And the right rod.
their own combination that they like. Anybody who's cranked enough, and if you're new to cranking, it's something you need to explore. Everybody has the hook that they like. Everybody has the style of hook that they like. Like KVD's famous for the KVD treble, which is a one-time short shank,
Short.
2X wire, so it's a 2X strong wire, and he likes to jump his hook size up. If you look at his 6XD, he's got a 1 to a 1.0 hook on that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Personally, I'm a round bend Gamakatsu guy. I'm a round bend, standard shank, Gamakatsu bronze hook guy. That's what I like. That's what I feel like I land the majority of my fish on.
It's a good hook.
It's what I like.
No doubt it's a good hook.
But there's Hayabusa, there's Mustad, there's Owner, there's
Trokar.
Gamakatsu, there's Trokar, there's brand after brand after brand of primo. Everybody is going to find their hook.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're serious about cranking,
you're
you're gonna find a hook. And if you're cranking grass, you're gonna learn the importance of a good hook, because that is a treacherous environment for landing fish.
Mhm.
But it is deadly.
Yeah.
And once you fire that school up, i.e. Wheeler today running back to the front of the boat, getting that crankbait bat out there. Sometimes he get bit right away, other times he wouldn't. But once you fire that school up and that school is out there and they stop eating that crankbait, if you notice what these guys did, and this is what I think is the most important thing we can learn, they immediately picked up that drop shot because they wanted something that was much more natural. Maybe natural is not the right word. Less aggressive.
Right.
More finessey.
Yeah, more
less
finessey.
aggressive. They wanted something to come floating into the kitchen.
We do that all the
Hey,
time.
Mr. Bass.
We do that all the time.
Don't
Especially
mind
on a
me.
school, especially on a, the school's there, you can see the school and all of a sudden they stop hitting the crankbait, you got to switch up. So you got to have that bait ready to go. And that,
So they and Wheeler was doing it.
yeah.
Now
Funny. How
Dustin Cannell, who won the tournament, he was
never crankbaited.
he was all in on the drop shot all day, smallmouth fishing 100%.
Yeah.
The rest of them guys were primarily concerned with largemouth. So therefore they did both. Dakota Ebre, who caught that 710 smallie, he was drop shot all day.
What was the spread between Connell and Wheeler?
16
pounds, 3
Wow.
ounces.
Wow. I mean, give it hats off to Wheeler. He kept it close the whole time, man. He worked hard at it. He had it, I think, within 9 pounds at one time.
So do you think, is there maybe some irony that Cannell and Wheeler room together, travel together? Cannell's doing well now. Wheeler's still kicking ass. I mean, they say you're only as successful as the people you surround yourself with.
I believe in that.
I'd say it's rubbed off pretty positively for.
I'm
for
sure
both
those
of them,
guys work together a little bit, and they
Yeah.
share information and get themselves into they know what they're doing, and
It's
just
crazy not to.
yeah.
But the other thing is,
if that was the case, though, why didn't Cannell throw any more crankbaits? I think day one he did throw some crankbaits.
He was all in on the smallmouth.
Yeah, and then he just got it was funny because he was going along, and he was watching this one moment. I don't know what I was doing. I just walked over and it caught me funny that what he said. He said, "Oh my God," he said, "We just found the freaking mother load." And that was day 2. He got on this mother load of bass, and then that's where he started the next day, and he just stayed on that bass.
Yeah.
That was when
big
he was.
school.
That was when he was looking at his Lowrance active target and saying, "There's a giant smallmouth riding on the back of a carp."
Yeah, that's exactly when it was.
And he cast out and he caught a giant smallmouth.
Yeah.
Riding on the back of a car.
He said that small, he was riding on the back of a carp, letting that carp kick up things for him to eat. And he goes, "I know it sounds crazy, but I can tell that on my active target." And I'm like, dude,
He's been.
how can I argue with you? Because you are whacking them at, you're saying it's going to happen.
He was chewing on the
it
mushrooms.
happens.
What he was doing.
Well, you know what else
Yeah.
is funny? You said that he won by 16 pounds, but
Which is not a big margin.
but here's the thing: at what moment
That's 4 fish.
was there ever a moment in that time where he thought Wheeler wasn't? Gonna
He
catch
did.
him?
The end of where Wheeler wasn't going to catch him.
He probably thought the whole time Wheeler's gonna.
Oh yeah, no. At the end of period 2, they were interviewing him, and he's like, "Man, I wish I had a 20-pound lead
Wheeler.
on Wheeler because he's right on my tail." And he said, "It's."
He's
I think
an
at
animal.
that time it was 12 pounds. It was a 12-pound difference. He said, "That's just, that's just
3 fish.
way too close."
What's funny is like going into today, Wheeler put on Facebook, need 100 pounds to win. He says swinging for 100 pounds. Well,
Yeah.
He's at a different level right now.
Oh,
I mean,
just is.
He is.
outfishing the crowd on a regular basis.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just unbelievable.
he is. He's definitely on a different level.
Yeah.
The drop shot was unbelievably effective on this tournament.
Look at Leland Hansford. I will be there next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leland,
George,
you suck.
I don't want to distract the what we're talking about here, but I got something I want to say that I found even really interesting. Okay. Talking about Wheeler and Cannell. Adrian Avina makes the cut. Okay.
Yeah.
Drives to New Jersey on Tuesday, fishes the White Marlin Open, drives back yesterday, fishes the cut round, drives back to New Jersey today because he didn't make the final, and is fishing the White Marlin Open.
He did it last year too.
I know, but crazy, right?
That is crazy.
I mean, you want to talk about
He's a boss.
right?
Bro, that's like a
Well, you know what? Brian
like a-
Schmidt,
8-hour run, man.
Yeah.
my buddy was with Brian Schmidt today because they fished 3 days, and he left right from Champlain and went right to South Dakota.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
he's hitting the road. He said he was going to do that. Yeah.
But George, you brought up something that's very interesting. You were talking about these drop shot. You were just ready to say something about drop shot baits, and what was the players?
Well, I mean, what I was going to say was the second technique that we wanted to talk about today that we learned from this tournament was how powerful the drop shot was on these open water grass related fish. And it was awesome. I mean, every body in this tournament for the most part was relying so heavily on the drop shot. Justin Lucas would start the day with 6, 8, 10, 12 drop shots rigged. So he didn't have to re-rig when he got a school fired up. And the drop shot just played. I mean, we talked about the baby Z2. The flatworm. Justin Lucas caught all those fish on a max scent flatworm. Just crushed fish. I mean, he caught fish. He won his round.
Hey
He
George,
won-
what did you do with the power cord for your computer?
Oh, I'm not sure. I didn't use it. It's probably plugged in over there.
Oh.
Yeah. So drop shot was a player, man.
A question with that drop shot, George. I don't know what they showed you on live or whatever, but were these drop shots being fished on the bottom, or them fish weren't even letting them hit the bottom?
All these fish, for the most part, were suspended over top of the grass. Yep. And these guys were casting to them, working that drop shot down through them and catching them. It was awesome. And what I'm saying is, these are things that we should hopefully learn. Well, the drop shot's amazing. Yeah, you saw guys fishing. You saw guys doing extremely well on robo worms. I know Alton Jones Sr. was all in on the robo worm. There was somebody else I saw that was fishing Morning Dawn Robo Worm 6-inch, all in. Like I said, the Max Scent Flatworm, the baby Z2. I believe Dakota Ebre said he caught that 710 on a full-size Z2, is what I believe he said. And then you had many, many other baits. Michael Neal, who just crushed fish, and many felt he had a chance to win the tournament, was fishing a whole line of big bite baits, their new scented drop shot baits, the slow molly, the thin shad, all kinds of new baits from them. It was just a drop shot
Clinic.
A lot of these guys did not crank. They 100% drop shotted. They were fully committed to it. Justin Lucas said, "This is how I fish. Northern Lakes in the summer, I drop shot." He said, "I'm leaving this tournament. I'm going next week to the St. Lawrence to fish the FLW Big 5 title event. I'm going to drop shot. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to drop shot the entire time I'm there." And, it's that powerful. Dakota Ebre, drop shot. Last week, he finished third on the Big 5 event on Champlain. Drop shot. I mean,
well, it's interesting you say that too, because talking to Greg, we did a video and it's on Instagram and all that of his 3 favorite baits for forward view, and you can just see that drop shot so well on forward view.
Yeah,
it just works perfect.
You absolutely can. It's more to catch up on. Leland, it was 83% largemouth bass in the tournament for weigh-in, so it wasn't primarily a smallmouth deal, but that guy won it all on smallies. So it might be something for you, but you got to figure out how to find a carp with the smallmouth riding on their backs.
And
that's the thing you're going to have to learn how to do, Leland.
And George, I'm just going to ask you, because I know you fished a lot of events at Cayuga over the years, bigger tournaments. Do you ever remember smallmouth playing to the percentage they did here?
Never.
I mean, it was always,
No.
If you caught one, it was
gobies are back. Gobies are in there now. So, I mean,
I don't know about that.
They're going to play.
I don't know about that. I didn't hear anybody say anything about gobies.
Oh, yeah, there's gobies in there.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I know it was primarily perch,
trout,
bluegill, and some sort of
it's like
shad.
Lake Oneida, man. The weights right now are insane on Lake Oneida. 20, 21 pounds every tournament.
So I'm guessing on Cayuga, was it the lower end of the lake that was the dominant? Or?
There was in the top 10, as it panned out in the top 10, there was, I think, 3 or 4 guys in the upper end. Terry Scroggins finished 4th place. He never left sight of the boat ramp at Frontenac Park. And he threw a chatterbait for 4 days. Fishing for largemouth on Frontenac Island. He fished the same
big
stretch
show.
of water.
I wonder if he was throwing. George asked me if he was throwing the big show chatterbait.
He was probably throwing an evergreen sledgehammer.
Yeah, but the big blade.
Oh, I don't know.
It was, whatever it was green pumpkin and green pumpkin trailer.
Yeah,
George, that's 3 out of the top 4 running Tritons.
Yeah.
Oh.
The rest of them were fishing mid to lower lake, west side.
There you go, Leland.
So,
breaking it down for you, buddy.
So we had the cranking, which I think most of us are weak in. I know I am. Very weak.
See, everybody's saying gobies there. Gobies.
We know Mike's week. That was his New Year's
cranking.
deal.
Yeah.
We had the drop shot.
I'm still weak.
Right? We had the
I'm learning
chatterbait.
now. I'm learning.
But you know what else played a little bit was dock fishing.
It always plays there. There's giants live over them docks.
And
George,
Andy Montgomery fished some docks today, and he had stayed away from them.
I was going to say, I can't see Andy Montgomery sitting out there in the middle of the
He
lake.
stayed away from them.
You see with the spinner rod in his hand?
Yeah, being a call.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean,
He stayed away from the docks because in practice, a ton of the docks that he was fishing, people were swimming on and around
because it was the weekend,
and the whole area was like no good. And he said, as that week got, weekend ended and the tournament started, those docks started coming back into play.
I'm sure he had some kind of a Tennessean line, you know, them doggone people out there in the middle of my dock. I know I'll go back there and catch them. I'm about to fishing my little spinner rod out there, and then I'll go back and flip my skipping jig up under there.
Right there.
Great.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude, man.
Tour
Tour
grade
grade skipping jig and a cricket.
and a cricket.
He
Yeah.
was throwing his cricket.
Well, so you know why Andy
Yep.
Montgomery did so well in this tournament? Him, Ott Defoe,
Yeah.
and Edwin Evers were comparing feet tans. And he posted this video on his social media, and it was hilarious. And
He
goes,
was very uncomfortable.
He goes, I am very uncomfortable because this is the last time we ever talk about our feet colors in public. And I mean, George, that guy, he is hilarious.
Oh, he is.
I love him.
Corbin, we seen him down in ICAST, and it was funny because he was doing the video for us.
Yeah.
And when he was just with you, he talked exactly the way you did.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, are they going to be able to hear him on video?
Yeah.
Well, as soon as you said action, he turned into like this whole like
Totally
it was
different
perfect,
guy.
But it was funny.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Oh yeah. It was.
He
it
was here.
fun.
He was here already for Bassapalooza, and he
Yes.
was a fantastic guest of at the shop here for Bassapalooza. He what a great guy. Really related to the fishermen. Shared a ton of knowledge.
Yes.
I mean, my man was giving it out.
yes.
We fished on the river. He paired up with
Pete Holmes.
yeah, no, he
No.
didn't pair up with Pete. I don't know who he paired up with. He paired up with one of our guys on the river, and one of our customers won a trip with him.
Yeah.
A miserable, freaking rotten day.
Yeah. And he did great.
And he did really good. Loved the Susquehanna.
Yeah.
Great guy. We really like him. We're very happy that he did well in the tournament today.
Yeah.
All week actually.
Yeah.
But he really showed what
Well.
late in the day what those
Yeah.
docks were made of.
And what's
What an artist with skipping, man.
And he started off slow and came on hot, you know?
He did.
So I hope you guys, understand why we did this show. These are I knew the discussion was going to go here and there and kind of go around everywhere, but it was really to allow us to expand our and I always talk about confidence, Nick. It allows you to say, with confidence now that, man, I see it being done. I watched it. I know somebody asked where we were watching it. You can stream all this stuff online right to your TV through your computer. That's what we do. It's on MLF live, and it's not that bad, really. It's really not horrible. And you just learn things that you can have some little bit of confidence in and throw it and try it and see, and it's all to expand your repertoire, if you want to say, of fishing.
You know what, Mike? It's really interesting that you say that, and I'm really interested to see what George has to say about this as well. I watched a little bit of that live today.
Yeah.
And what I did see is it was pretty windy.
Yeah.
Now, from my experience with that wind and what I seen, I don't know if I would have been doing what those guys were doing, because wind tells me moving baits, things like that. So it was very interesting to look at it from a different perspective.
There was two aspects to that win that came into play, and actually came into play in the knockout round as well. Or no, the last day of qualifying Group B. So aspect one, the wind started out southwest, and it was beautiful. And if you watched it this morning, they drove their boats out, and they commenced to whaling upon the Cayuga bass population, just dismantling the lake. Like they went to a commercial break. When they came back, they had to catch up on like 20 catches.
Yeah.
It was just a bludgeoning. But as the day progressed, and as JT Kenny had predicted, the wind was going to shift northwest from southwest. And you could see it as the day progressed coming around. And even Scroggins even said, once that wind comes around, I'm going to be good. And he started banging fish. And one of the interesting comments that we heard today and earlier, and I'd really like everybody to hone in on this, is the sound of the waves slapping on the hull of the boat was affecting the bite. and a couple of the competitors left where they were for the third period and went to the calm side of the lake to get rid of that sound.
That's,
What?
that's-
Boom goes
what?
the dynamite.
That's freaking crazy.
Wait. You mean
That's
to tell me
freaking
that
crazy.
fish, right? Fish don't eat crankbait and drop shot when waves slap off boat.
I didn't say that.
But it was negatively impacting them.
It was. It was. A couple of them said they could just tell by the attitude of the fish. Again, they're looking at the fish on their screen.
That's just like, it's crazy stuff.
Well, I'm also
It's crazy
hearing-
talk.
Now I don't know
it's-
because
it's-
I'm also hearing that some of these fish
I totally get
are
it.
starting to get used to the sound of that forward view.
These
Yeah.
fish weren't.
No, these fish aren't. But I am
Yeah.
hearing that.
Oh yeah,
They,
no
they-
doubt.
they might get used to it, but
but it's just,
I bet you next week them some bitches get used to it.
for these guys,
'Cause
honest,
I think there's
honestly,
a convoy coming from all ports of
Hon-
the United States.
sounds
to
all right,
Cayuga.
all right,
It hurts.
honestly, when you're talking about, and this all started back when David Fritz was cranking
Who?
on Dave
Right,
Fritz.
right.
Oh, Uncle David first. He was out there cranking old fire target, cranking on a fire line. He don't need no forward facing sound. He had a flasher and he had the old graphite rod. Just kidding. You know that's just glass. He had it all loaded up. He knew every weird deep he'd see on the flasher. He knew how green the grass was based on how that fusion treble came through there and ate the old little crankbait. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
I know what you're
You know
saying.
what I mean?
Uncle
Like,
I know
David.
what you mean.
Uncle David.
and Uncle
But it
David.
all started with him with crazy talk. He would say how, with that E-glass rod, which I have over here, signed by him.
Mhm.
And if anybody wants to see it, they can come in and check this thing out.
Yeah, you should have seen him when he pulled that out.
I might even let you hold it. But he would say that when he was cranking, this is when he was still on a flasher. But when he was cranking points and fishing his points, that he knew that the fish weren't in a good active mood if he was feeling the bait, the line come across the backs of the fish and they wouldn't hit it.
Well, that's when you're dialed in,
Hey,
son.
hey,
I mean,
hey, Mike.
that's crazy talk.
That's
but-
when you're
but
dialed in, son.
that's when I first started hearing crazy talk. And these guys are so freaking dialed in, they can honestly say with a straight freaking face that I just caught a fish off the back of a carp. And they said it with a straight freaking face. He's like, it's unbelievable. I'm telling you guys, I'm seeing this.
Well,
They're carp down
let
there.
me put it in perspective for
It's
you.
just, that's how
Dustin Cannell
they probably fish like
has stared at his Lowrance active captain target, whatever it's called,
captain.
for 1,000 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like these kids today that play video games. And
Yeah.
if you ever saw them kids today that stare at their TV for 9, 10, 12 hours at a
It's
time,
crazy.
they got button A, B, C, joystick 1, 2. I mean, I'm an Atari guy. I had whoop, 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 whoop. That was it. I mean, 1,000 hours. Okay. So what I'm saying is that when they're telling you that these fish are reacting to the sound of the waves slapping on the hull and they're going to the other side of the lake for period of 3,
That's crazy.
that's when you're dialed in, bro.
I know, it's crazy
And you
talk.
need to pay attention to these minute details if you
Unbelievable.
want to get to
Unbelievable.
that level.
And Michael Neal said something today that I thought was interesting but kind of scary. He catches a fish and he's bringing it in. Now he obviously caught it with a drop shot
Yeah.
and the live view or whatever.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure he wasn't sure if that fish was hooked inside the mouth, which is very interesting going forward with this technology because it's only going to get better. They're going to start to possibly have issues with fish being what?
Snagged.
Snagged.
Yeah.
And that was interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely. You're seeing them. Sight fishing.
Well,
A lot of stuff's going to change with this, man.
for those of you who
I
have-
wouldn't be
who-
surprised if some freaking tournament circuit bans them.
For those of you who have looked at forward view or own forward view or think you got it going on with forward view, I mean the ability to see a fish and snag a fish on forward view, I don't know anybody that's there yet. I mean, maybe some of these guys are. If you can see carp swimming on smallmouth.
That's what I'm saying.
bellies, but
And David Fritz, reeling
I mean, I'm pretty good at mine.
This was 15, 20 years ago. He's reeling this freaking thing in.
I'm pretty good at mine.
he's
About
saying-
1 in every 50 casts, I can see my lure.
He said there's good fish. He said there's good fish down there, man. He said there's good fish down there. I can feel them with, rubbing up against my line. I'm like, come on, David.
Hey, are you questioning Uncle David?
I'm not. I just like at the time. I'm like,
Because
what
me and
the?
Corbin will
There,
whoop your
there
ass.
ain't gonna be
No,
no
at the
strawberry
time,
rhubarb pie
what
for
is
you
that?
for Christmas.
What
Come
is
on
that?
now.
What is that when they go?
Speaking of,
Yeah.
speaking of,
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
you know,
It was.
they're going to David land on the elites. Uncle David was leading day one out there on Hawaii last year. They better watch out. The old Fritz got the old forward facing now. It's a new game of the flasher. Deeper Fritz side. XD colors. Oh, we got the mini Fritz, the big Fritz, the double wide Fritz. We got the good old Fireline Fusion trebles, line expanded, max scent, little general, little trooper. Oh man, I'm putting Fritz on my fantasy team.
There's a breakdown
Oh,
for
I
you.
love me some Uncle
There's
David.
a breakdown for you guys right there.
I love me some Uncle David, man.
Hey, FTF, fear thy Fritz.
Hey, George. George, what do you got stacked up in front of you there?
Well, we have a beer sponsor this week.
Oh yeah.
So, friend of the shop here, good customer at SFT, comes in all the time. His name's Matthew Weimer. Matthew, I know you're watching. I see you on there. I see you. And he was kind enough to supply us with a Trogs, where he works, a Lucky Holler.
Ooh, hazy.
You're down in the main holler there.
It's a hazy
they be
IPA.
hollering. Oh.
How's Uncle Fritz called a holler?
Well,
You
I
way
mean,
up the holler?
Well, no, we go deer hunting in the holler down where
That's
I'm at.
right. There you go. Hazy IPA, handcrafted by the Trogs brothers. Matthew Weimer, who's a customer of SFT, hardcore bass head, comes in once a week. We talk bass of all shapes and sizes.
There he is.
And my man was
Right
kind
on.
enough this week to provide us with a
Pop the
Lucky
top.
Holler IPA. And you know what, Matthew?
Yeah.
We're gonna give you a quick
Woo!
breakdown.
Look at that.
We're gonna rate this beer for
Snapping
you.
and cracking.
Try her out, boys.
Has a great aroma to it.
Very hoppy.
yeah.
Ooh.
Oh my.
Ooh.
6.8% alcohol.
So tell me, punk, do you feel lucky?
Holler.
It's about to go
Holler.
down, everybody.
I'm feeling lucky.
Well, I will tell you this.
Mm.
For those of you who are watching Tackle Shop Live, who happen to be
Beer connoisseurs.
fans of the hops, and you happen to get to your local beer distributor, which, by the way, these
Yeah.
beer distributors these days,
Crazy.
they're like music. I mean, it's just amazing. They're just like libraries of beer.
You know, this is
If you can find the Trogs section, now
This
you
is
know
nice.
Trogs rotates out their beers. You find the Lucky Holler, you will not be disappointed. And Matthew, thank you very much.
thank you very much.
We really enjoy the beers that you provide us with, and thank you for shopping at the store.
It's a very, very good beer.
What
George,
else we got, boys?
George, we got a question on here.
Hey,
So this is regarding the drop shot. Why was using a drop shot on fishing suspended over grass preferred? I'm assuming you meant the weight never made it to the bottom.
Well, I mean, there's probably other methods that will work. I mean, let's face it. Suspended fish. We can throw a drop shot. We can throw what people like to call a Demiki rig. It's a jig head with a freaking tail on it.
Yeah.
We could throw a little swim bait. Okay. But if the fish aren't chasing, if they're not chasing a bait, we need something that drops down through them, falls down through them. And I mean, a drop shot, maybe-
Especially those.
I mean, it's probably the best choice you could make.
it's
George,
Arguably,
were they playing with leader lengths or anything, or was it just your pretty much
most of the
you know-
leaders
you
that
know,
I
like,
saw,
Did they have any long?
no,
No.
most of the leaders I saw were probably about
Standard.
a little longer than I'm generally in about this range.
You're a
Yeah,
foot-
well, you guys got to understand, they were only fishing in less than 15 foot of water.
Well, some of them were out there in 20, 25 foot. Michael Neal was on the very outside edge, and it was 20 to 25 foot, and then it broke off into what he called the abyss.
So I think the question to be answered correctly was, I think a lot of them were fishing it on the bottom, and they were fishing, you know, they were throwing it out at a fish and letting it go down, and hopefully they would hit it on the way down, and sometimes they would. But other times it would hit the bottom and you'd see them working it back a few pulls and then boom, they'd grab it. So I think the stinker was on the bottom. However, suspending fish, like George is saying, where they're suspended up in the column, and this happens a lot over top of 50, 60, 80, 100 feet of water in some of these places. And one of the places that I know that it happens, it's super hard to catch fish. But I learned something pretty cool from a guy up there one time, was pendulum.
Oh man, this is gonna be a long night.
Pendulum?
It's that trogs.
Yeah.
No, that word's hard to say.
No, pendulum through the
Pendulum.
Penduluming.
penduluming.
Yeah, I think you have to hyphenate the ing.
Penduluming.
There you go.
Penduluming the bait through the school of fish, and it was all on how far you casted.
Or cast.
While you were penduluming.
Got him on a pump fake.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
can we get this right?
well, so I'm telling you right now, it's hard as hell to do. And if you think that it's a freaking easy to fish a suspended school of fish, you're out of your mind.
Again, if I may,
Yeah.
when you can see your bait,
Yes.
On your
graph. Yes.
it gives you, but you know what?
Yes. But you can go, you still can
A
make the
lot of
wrong
these-
distance cast.
If you watch these guys out on these open, gigantic flats, a lot of these casts were like this.
Ah, the old
Yeah.
flip.
Because you're looking at your screen,
The old spinning
you know,
rod
you got
flip.
if you're mounted up on your trolling motor, you know, you boom. Oh, there they are. You know, you look at your thing, it's 45 feet out there, right? You're in that zone.
Yeah.
So
George,
I totally get it.
George, how long do you think it's going to be before they figure out cracking a tube is a deadly forward-facing sonar bait? You know what I'm saying, homie?
well, I'm sure it's real good.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's real good, but I don't know how good it is on fish that are suspended halfway down in the water.
Well, that's where you get that long strip. You know what I mean? You know, tube was originally a jerk bait. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Mike. I think you need to start getting us home here. I
Well-
see where this is going.
Well, I'd like to say one thing, and I know we don't want to talk about this, but this is hot. We got to congratulate Joe Thompson.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
You know, and I know we're not going to talk about that tournament today, but
Well, I mean, we're not prepared for that tournament.
right. But congratulations to JT, man. You know,
What a great finish.
what a great week.
Yesterday he was in second place. He had a freaking unbelievable.
Second.
He was in second going into the
Oh,
final.
yeah.
He got,
Yesterday he was in second.
well, he got third or fourth in the BFL
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
Saturday
And then
on
he
Champlain.
right. And then he backs it up with a sixth place finish up on Lake Champlain on the Toyota series.
And
Yeah.
he was right there.
He
He
was.
was right there.
And I think he weighed in 18 plus pounds a day, and he dropped to 6th. But you know what?
I mean, let's face
was
it, boys.
The difference between
It's
first
so
and
tight.
sixth it's ounces.
It's so tight.
It's
I mean,
unbelievable.
first and second was 1 ounce or 2.
Yeah.
And-
So
And,
it's
and the guy that won the tournament, not for nothing, is like the reigning hot stick on Lake Champlain.
yeah, he's a local yokel, man.
My man lives up there, and he basically have to pay a toll to fish his lake. He owns the lake,
And I was going to say that.
and he learned from the best.
Yeah.
He learned from the best.
Yeah.
So I mean, JT,
Yeah.
Hey, good job, bud.
Way to go, pal.
we'll see you Sunday on the
Yep.
fluke trip,
Absolutely. We're gonna
and
we will
will
absolutely toast
we'll
it.
dab you up. We'll dab you up.
We'll definitely be high-fiving all the way down there because that was a great event. That was a great event for him. He's a hardcore guy. He fishes hard. He fishes everything, man.
And his interview and his weigh in was really good. You know, he's real thankful. And he just, good for him.
yeah,
Good for
that's
him.
That's a tough crew he was going against.
absolutely.
The guy that got second won 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
These guys are putting a lot of time on that body of water or any body of water.
yeah.
And
He
it
rolls
was
up
nice
there,
to see him do that.
and for him, it's outside of his comfort zone.
Well, yeah. I mean,
It was smallmouth.
he made a
Absolutely.
comment. What did he say? He's like, because and for people that don't know, JT's got a pretty good track record.
He's good on
And,
Champlain, but it's always largemouth.
and what did he say?
Always
He's like,
largemouth.
He goes, when in Rome, we say, if they're catching 20 pounds of smallmouth, I can only catch 18 of largemouth. When in Rome, I got to go catch smallmouth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, hats off to
Yep.
him, man.
Job well
Great
done,
job, buddy.
Job well done.
No.
Little local love there from the SFT boys.
Yep.
So the SFT crew is going fluke fishing this weekend. So we will be off of the bass grounds.
Yep. Safe
But-
for everybody to go fishing for bass because we're going for saltwater fish.
As soon as we get back from the fluke trip,
We're fluking away.
the SFT bass wagon will be heading north to Cayuga and the Thousand Islands. So we are coming up north to practice what we preach and meet our northern buddies again and have a
Yep.
good time. And
That's gonna be great, man.
boys,
Catching giant smallies.
that's all I got for you tonight.
You know, catching
Nick, I'm closing a book.
giant smallies. It's
Great
gonna
job,
be fun.
guys.
Book's closed.
So
Get us home there, Big Daddy.
thank you everybody for stopping in. Make sure you like and share all of our social media. We really appreciate it. And listen, any questions on any of this stuff, you can call the shop, you can email us, we'll get the email, we'll answer it. Just whatever it is, just let us know what you need. We will honestly answer your questions. However you want it.
And I don't know if everybody's seen it, but Caitlin did put in the comments, you want to pay attention to all our social media because we will be having a giveaway
Yeah.
real soon.
Yeah.
So, that last giveaway, Mike just started grabbing everything that was in the store. So, I mean, you want to pay attention. And George,
Yeah.
out of nowhere last week, he's throwing stuff out there. So pay
Yeah.
attention. It's all good stuff here.
Absolutely. Until next time, we will see you on the next Tackle Shop Live. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Thank you, Corbin, for stopping by today, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Corbin's in the house.
Woo! Right there, you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day, you called me up. You told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down, knowing I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine.
Right on, Andy. We'll pass it along. Old Corbin's in the house. Cameraman Nick. Yeah, baby.
I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I'm going crazy from just the thought of you. A long blonde hair and your beautiful smile. Your sense of humor makes it all worthwhile. Don't make me wait, it's not a funny game. You know just what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me